Hello everyone, my name is Sam Jenkins and today I'm going to be doing a strategic analysis on the company Tesla. So I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of background about Tesla, and then I'm going to go into doing a pestle analysis, Porter's 5 forces analysis, a RIO analysis, a SWOT analysis, and a financial analysis for Tesla. And at the end I'll talk about some strategic issues that Tesla faces and some recommendations on how they can solve those issues. Tesla was founded in the year 2003 by Elon Musk, Jeffrey Strobel, Martin Eberhard, and Mark Tarpenning. The company is headquartered in Palo Alto, California. The company primarily operates in the automotive industry, but they also do a little bit of business in energy storage and solar businesses. In 2019, Tesla generated about $24,578,000,000 of revenues in 2019. So moving on to a pestle analysis. One political factor that will have a direct effect on Tesla is trade policy. Recently, President Trump imposed tariffs on certain imports from China that were 25%. These tariffs had a direct impact on Tesla. They manufacture their self-driving computers for their vehicles in China. Tesla has said that these tariffs might force them to not manufacture in China anymore. Therefore, this would delay the release of the Autopilot 3.0 software that they've been trying to release. Another political issue that Tesla needs to focus on is the government support of electric vehicles. This has recently had a direct impact on Tesla, because the federal government has been subsidizing electric vehicles. They give it $7,500 tax credits for every electric vehicle sold, but Tesla is no longer receiving these subsidies, and they fear it's going to have a negative impact on their business because they had to raise the price of their Tesla Model 3 from $35,000 to $38,990. So moving on to economical factors. One is the price of gasoline. Tesla's in a unique situation because they only manufacture electric cars. For Tesla, high gas prices could actually help their business. When gas prices rise in the future, it will make it more expensive to drive a gas-powered vehicle per year. And when the cost to drive a Tesla per year is going to remain around the same regardless of what happens with gas prices, so this could drive people to switch to electric vehicles from gas-powered vehicles. Another economical factor that Tesla needs to focus on is disposable income levels and unemployment rates. When unemployment rates are high, disposable income levels are going to be lower, and people aren't going to have as much money to spend. And Tesla is more of a high-end product. Their luxury products are more expensive vehicles, so if people don't have as much money in their pockets, they're not going to be buying as many Teslas. So for social factors, one, Tesla needs to look at the demographics and the places they're doing business. The average ages for Tesla owners range from 52 to 54 years old, and the average household incomes are about $100,000 a year, depending on which state they live in, too. Now, and Tesla owners are typically Caucasian, too. About 87% of Tesla owners are Caucasian. And another social factor would be the trend toward environmentally friendly lifestyles. A recent study showed that 77% of people have an interest in living a more environmentally friendly lifestyle. Since Tesla sells electric vehicles, they're very environmentally friendly, so if people are interested in this kind of lifestyle, there's going to be more of an interest in buying electric cars. So moving on to the technological factors, one will be the rise in cyber-related crimes. Recently, a group of Chinese hackers was able to hack into some of Tesla's vehicles. They were able to hack into a Tesla Model S. They were able to trick the car's self-driving software into veering into the wrong lane. This could be very dangerous because if a vehicle is hacked like this, it could directly go into oncoming traffic and cause a major accident. Tesla needs to constantly watch these, monitor this, and be sure that they're protecting their vehicles from these kinds of attacks. Another technological factor is the innovation levels of companies. The more innovative companies are, generally the more successful they're going to be. Tesla is probably the most innovative company in the industry. They're the ones leading the way, transforming the industry for electric vehicles. By only selling electric vehicles, they're also leading the way in terms of vehicle technology, because even though gas-powered vehicles use a lot of technology, they don't use as much as electric vehicles do because they operate on a different architecture than electric vehicles do. So moving on to environmental factors, main one is how companies are focusing on more sustainable business practices. Tesla's done a good job of this. They use solar energy systems and battery storage to power their facilities, and also their products, as we've talked about, are very environmentally friendly. Their vehicles, they say, have only emitted 282,000 metric tons of CO2, while if you look at a company like Ford, one of their competitors, they've said their vehicles emit millions of metric tons of CO2. So for legal issues, one would be consumer protection laws. when people buy the products, they're going to expect them to work properly so they can be safe. Tesla's had numerous wrongful death lawsuits recently because of autopilot mishaps in recent years, and it's something they really need to focus on. Another legal issue would be labor laws. All companies have to look at this. Recently, a judge ruled that Tesla and Elon Musk violated one of these laws in terms of targeting federal union activity. The lawsuit said that Tesla was brought up how Tesla treated employees who were trying to advance a union. Tesla now has to offer to fire an employee back his job and remove disciplinary records from him and another employee who were trying to advance a union. Moving on to a Porter's 5 Forces analysis. The threat of new entrants for Tesla is weak. It's very difficult and expensive to compete with a company like Tesla or be in this industry in general because there's so many different companies there, and it's very expensive because Tesla uses a lot of technology and that costs a lot of money. It'd be very difficult for a new company to come in and just compete with companies like Tesla or even Ford or GM because they have very good marketing strategies. It'd be just very difficult and expensive to do that. The threat of substitutes is more of a moderate force. The substitutes would be public transportation and services like Uber or Lyft. Identify this as only a moderate force because there are significant advantages to owning your own vehicle. Public transportation can only take you so many places, and you have to wait certain times to get on a bus or a train, and you don't have to do that with your own vehicle. The bargaining power buyers are more of a moderate force because if a customer doesn't approve of the price of a vehicle, there are plenty of other companies, luxury car companies they can go to because there's plenty of other vehicles to choose from in the industry. However, there are cases, it's only a moderate force because there are some times when buyers don't have as much power, like if they don't have public transportation options near them or don't live near many car dealerships, and if they want a luxury car, they might be forced to order a Tesla then, and they won't have as much room to negotiate. So the bargaining power of suppliers is a moderate force. The reason Tesla has various different suppliers, the reason that these suppliers have a little bit of bargaining power is because of how secretive Tesla can be. They've always been concerned about their competitors obtaining information about where their parts came from. Tesla suppliers have a little bit of leverage because Tesla knows they don't want other companies knowing where they get their parts from. So this will allow Tesla suppliers to raise their prices in exchange for not publicly saying about that they supply Tesla parts. And lastly, the intensity of competitive rivalry is Tesla's strongest force. Like I've said, there's many different companies like BMW, Lex, Toyota, Ford, GM in this industry to compete with. And Tesla's biggest differentiator has been electric vehicles. And some of these other companies are starting to sell electric vehicles now, so that's taking that away from them to give them more competition. So consumers no longer need to be brand loyal to just Tesla for electric vehicles. Another reason is all these companies have great marketing campaigns, so it makes the competition even more strong, and it makes the industry even a bit more difficult to compete in. Moving on to a VRIO analysis. Tesla is very innovative, and they utilize the latest technologies. These things are important to any company to have, and they have all the characteristics of core competency, and it's why they have a sustainable competitive advantage. Brand recognition is another item that has all the characteristics of the core competency and gives them a sustainable competitive advantage. Having good brand recognition can give any company a lot of value. It's a difficult thing to mimic. As we said earlier, if our company doesn't have a good strategy or some way to get their people to know who they are, they're not going to be able to compete in this industry if companies do not have the brand recognition. The third one tested was marketing resources. This was found to be an unused competitive advantage because their marketing strategy is very unique. It's more of a word-of-mouth strategy. It's worked very well for them. It's a difficult thing for other companies to mimic. But it fails in the organized component because there's not really organized processes and structures in place for their marketing strategy. For company leadership, it's overall an unused competitive advantage. Elon Musk, he's a very rare kind of leader. He's tough for another company to find one like him, but he lacks in the organized component because he's had some incidents with erratic behavior in the past that have kind of hurt the company. The last resource test was human resources. These provide value to any company, but Tesla's had some issues with this department over the past few years, given turnover at the executive levels, and a lot of human resources complaints that were not handled properly, so it's why it's only competitive parity for them. Moving on to a SWOT analysis. One of the strengths is that they're a leader in the electric vehicle market. Like I said, many car companies are starting to make electric vehicles, but none of them are on the same level as Tesla yet in terms of electric vehicle sales. And also, they have a very high level of innovation. Like I said, they're trying to transform the auto industry so that everybody's driving an electric car one day. And as stated earlier, they're also leading the way when it comes to technology by only selling electric vehicles. So for weaknesses, one would be that their vehicles are very expensive. If the economy's not doing well, this could really hurt Tesla, because if people don't have a lot of money in their pockets, they're not going to be spending a lot of money on Tesla vehicles. Another weakness would be that they've had many net losses over the past few years. We'll talk about later in the financial analysis how their expenses, they've had higher expenses than their revenues. And this is something that's going to need to be resolved in order to be able to financially survive. An opportunity for Tesla would be to create a more affordable vehicle. Like I said, the cheapest vehicle they offer is $38,990. One of their competitors, Mercedes, just created a Mercedes A-Class for around $32,000. If Tesla would make a car for around that range, they'd be able to compete with them on that. And it'd be very unique because there aren't too many luxury vehicles out there for that price range. Another opportunity would be to diversify into some other businesses to create other products other than cars, because when the economy's bad, like I said, they're not going to be selling as many vehicles. So if they have other products to sell, it could help them in bad economic times. Threats would be the high level of competition. Like I said, they have BMW, Chrysler, Ford, Jaguar to compete with. They all have good marketing strategies. It increases the competition. It's very difficult to compete with them, and they're all selling electric vehicles now. Another threat would be the lawsuits that we talked about earlier relating to the safety of their vehicles, because they've been using a lot of autopilot features now in all their cars, and they've had some wrongful death lawsuits relating to the autopilot feature. Moving on to a financial analysis. Tesla had a big jump in revenues from 16 to 17 and also from 17 to 18. But this revenue growth slowed a lot from 18 to 19, as they only went up 15%. Another thing I noticed is that their gross profit was increasing at a slower rate than their revenues were increasing. This means that it's becoming more expensive to manufacture and distribute their products, while their revenues are not increasing enough to keep up with that pace. Something else that's apparent when analyzing their financials is that they're trying to cut back on their operating expenses. This is good because they've been operating on very significant net loss from 2016 to 2019. It's starting to go down the past couple of years, but it's still very significant, and they might have to admit that their products are too expensive for them to make, so they might have to cut back on some of the quality that they've been able to differentiate themselves with if they want to financially survive. So moving on to strategic issues. One would be to continue to remain competitive in a highly competitive industry. Another would be what can they do to improve their human resources department. And the last one would be how Tesla can provide better customer service to their customers. Ways to do this would be to continue to be innovative and find other ways to differentiate themselves other than just selling electric vehicles. That will help them stay really competitive in their industry. And also, they need to change the culture of their human resources department to be sure that everybody's complaints are being heard, and employ new people in place so the turnover won't be as bad. And also, Tesla's had some issues with their customer service over the past few years in their service centers, so they need to develop a new training program to retrain all their customer service employees so that all the Tesla owners are getting good customer service. The vast majority of Tesla owners are very happy with their vehicles. It's just the customer service with Tesla is where that's the only issue they have with Tesla. So that's the end of my presentation. These are my references. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.